Microphone check. Does my mic sound nice? Uh, yes, it does. Welcome to this week's episode of It's About Damn Time. We focus on the real journey to being 1% better every damn day. Welcome to this week's episode of It's About Damn Time. I am Jared Dam, back in the building once again. And if you're new here, I got you. Don't even worry about it. See, It's About Damn Time, the podcast about self-discovery. It's my self-journey. I'm on a road to building a better me, and hopefully through conversations and revelations, you too can build a better you because, we're in this together. Now, it is about damn time that we talk about intimacy. Because some of us don't really know what it is. Some of us, think we know. Because I thought I knew. So some of us think we know what it is, and we need to figure it out. But this topic is a little too big, too broad for me. So I had to enlist a tag team partner. So I got my good friend Inez Powell, who is a sensual alchemist, a warrior priestess, a spiritual intimacy coach, a speaker, does massage, does Reiki, just creating magic overall in all facets of the world. And that's how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm really great, actually. I think it's auspicious that we're doing it now because when you first invited me, I thought I was ready and I really wasn't. And now I feel I feel more grounded. So this feels like the perfect time for everything.
I agree. It's nothing like having the perfect time. And there's been times that I've wanted to do some certain things. I'm like, okay, I really want to do this right now, but I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the energy. It's gonna sound crazy. It's been plenty of like solo episodes that I do that I'm like, yep, not today. Just go back and lay down. So the timing is just right, and I love it. I love it. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. And I need your help to talk about this because this is an interesting topic. I have loosely talked about intimacy versus versus intimacy in just probably just one form. I didn't realize it was a whole lot of forms. So like when I was doing some research and saw something you had posted on your Instagram a while back, I was like, oh yeah, we need to talk about this. So I guess the first question I want to kind of ask you is that when people hear the word intimacy, what exactly do they get wrong about it?
They hear intimacy and they automatically jump into it being something physical, that it involves penetration. So they automatically jump to sex. And how I define it is sex is a form. It's one form of intimacy, but it's not the only form of intimacy that is there.
That makes sense. And like I said, like let's look at the wheel on that intimacy wheel that you had posted, and I'm going to kind of get into it in a little bit and kind of give you a breakdown on it. But I've always looked at intimacy like, okay, no, let me back up. I ain't always looking. I done got a little grown now, so I had a little bit more of some mature thoughts about it. At first, I just thought intimacy and sex was the same thing, like growing up, because I'm a guy. They don't really teach us differently.
Right, and that's an important distinction because the way that girls are brought up, we come into womanhood, we have intimacy with our friends, that person that you confide in, that person who you talk to. You may have a large circle of friends, but there are only a handful of people who really know your business, because we were taught you're from that same age group where you don't share what happens in your house. What happens in your house stays in your house. But you definitely had that one friend who was like, "Tell me what happened." Because they could just tell by your energy, they could tell by the way you were walking that something was off. And everybody has that confidant that that pours into them and who they vent to or whatever. Then you have, in the workplace, that's another level of intimacy. There are some people who you can't stand, who you just get by to get by, and then there's that one for that the word now is work bestie. You
Yeah.
have that work bestie who they pass by your desk and they know that you're having a bad day, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" To raise your spirits up. So that's another level of intimacy. Even it could be something casual. You walk into a store, you make eye contact with somebody, they wink at you, or you just give that nod. That's a form of intimacy. It's intimacy amongst strangers. There is nothing. What's exchanged is energy. No one took anything away from anybody, but you're acknowledging that person as another human. Like, hey, I see you. Or somebody, you pay somebody a compliment. You have on a short suit, and somebody says, "Hey, I really like that suit." I want to be like you, big dog, or whatever.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
nah, man, I'm trying to be like you. I'm trying to be. You see what I'm saying? So those
Yeah.
are all intimate moments that are unrelated to sexual contact.
That's really interesting because I've never really thought about intimacy as more of like an energy exchange. I feel like that's what I got from there from your definition. And I mean, I know in sex, energy exchanges during sex, but I never really thought about any other part of it. And so I guess for me, like thinking about how um I know a lot of people in my age group that that might have had a partner for like a little while and struggling with actually still connecting with that person. It ain't, the fire ain't the same after a couple of years, after like 10, 12, 15, 20 years or whatever. So um and I think part of it is that they'll say sex is the problem, we not having enough sex. I mean, I had I used to be married, and so like we there was some stretches where we wasn't having sex. Hindsight being 2020, looking at it, we had more of an intimacy issue than a sexual issue. So like for me, when how how big is it? How much have you seen where someone says um they're having a sex problem, but it's really more of an intimacy problem?
Everybody comes in saying that they have a sex problem because how we're conditioned to view sex is different. So for men, their gateway to, and I'm going to generalize here.
Mm-hmm.
For men, their gateway to intimacy and feeling connected is through that act of penetration. It is being mediated. Whereas for women, I'll speak for myself in this sense. For me, it's cerebral. Like,
Yeah.
get to know me, warm me up. Don't just come and like grab me and be like, yeah, I'm ready. And yeah, that's great. If I've had a bad day, my brain ain't there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I've had a rough day at work and I've sat in traffic for 90 minutes and now I have to come home, and I'm going to paint a scenario where people are married or living together. I'm
Mm-hmm.
single. So paint the scenario. You've been at work for 8 hours. You sat in traffic for 90 minutes. Now you've come home. Now you have to fix something to eat. You have to make sure that the kids do their homework, or you have to take them to some kind of event. And now your partner comes in and it's like, hey, usually the man, and it's like, hey, I'm ready. Like, let's do a quickie. And it's like, are you out of your mind? Like, do you not see the list of things that I have to do? And you want to do this now? Now, some women can do it. Some women can. Some women can be like, all right, fuck it. Let's go. We gotta be quiet or whatever. Other women are looking like, nah, dude, like I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going through that phase of your period's about to start, or you're coming out of that phase. Your body is swollen. Everything. There are parts of you that hurt that you didn't know existed. Like, nah, now's not the time.
Right. Right. Look, I get it. I get it. I'm more of a cerebral person too, and I remember being in relationships and having like being in like counseling sessions, and um the counselor having to break down because I guess they were picture me in the stereotypical way of like most guys. You know, most guys are visual, and I'm not saying that I'm not visual as well. Like, you know, I see somebody
You
like,
like what you like.
yeah, you like what you
Tell me a
like,
little thing.
but that's not going to stimulate me overall. Like I need to have that connection, that conversation. I need to be intellectually stimulated. Like, wait, you know, like my Venus is in Gemini. You know what I mean? So I need to be intellectually stimulated. So when the counselor was breaking that down and telling my partner that she's like, "What you mean? I just can't just untie the hair and just tune it up and Jerry read it? No, no." And so which blows my mind that I never really equated different types of intimacy, because I just thought I didn't think it was just sex. I just thought it was more so of like, okay, it's it's the talking part, maybe it's the aftercare, maybe doing a little rubbing and everything. But I still equated it to like mostly physical. And so let's get into this whole intimacy wheel that I saw on your page. Like, I didn't I had no idea there was so much stuff on here. So I mean,
Yeah, and that was like new to me too. You know what I mean? And I've been to expand more on my background. I didn't go into this thinking, oh, I'm gonna be a coach. Like all this started was because I wanted to have a 2-hour orgasm, and once I had it, I was like, ooh. And then I told people, and everybody was like, you lying, and I was like, no, it's all energy. And I think that's where I see myself as being different from a lot of other people or other coaches in this, because it's for me, it's the energy. The energy dictates everything.
mm,
Like, you could be all up in your head, but if that energy with that person is off, as much as you may like them, as much as you may be drawn to them, if they're not favoring you energetically, if you're not, we like to use the word alignment. I know that was a big word that Abraham Hicks uses. If your folks follow Abraham Hicks or anything, and it's kind of coming back around full circle. If you're not in alignment with that person, it don't matter what you try to do. It's always going to be off.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So how do you? Okay, we're gonna steer into that a little bit. So how do you? Is it like just a sixth sense of knowing when the energy's off, or is it like, or is it like, okay, I'm with this person or whatever? So it's almost like you putting a square head in a round hole, like you just trying to make it work, even when you know that it's not really working. What's the vibe on that?
Yeah, and sometimes you stay too long. I mean, it could have been working in the beginning. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I think I saw a phrase one time, or a saying, where some relationships are for a season and some relationships are for a lifetime.
Right.
And sometimes we stay too long, and we're conditioned to stay too long. It's like, well, y'all not making it work. You should go above and beyond. And it's like, but if we're both unhappy, especially in a
Mm-hmm.
marriage, if you're both unhappy, would it not be better to leave and not stay and have that resentment there and be acrimonious towards each other? And that's a very different thought, because religion and a lot of spirituality, especially religion, is really heavy on it, where it's like,
Yeah.
no, you stay, you make it work.
Yeah.
And financially, you may not be able to leave either.
That part too. And it's just scary, because that's what you're used to, it's what you know, it's what you've known for however number of months or years that you've been around. So like when you're at that point where you're like, we're not connecting, we're not even talking about how we gonna connect. We we faking it in counseling, just
Right,
to say,
you're paying all this money to see somebody, and y'all don't even want to be there. Y'all would
yeah,
rather be someplace else. Or the one that gets me, uh, and I saw another Facebook content creator. She she had posted this video. Is where you would rather cheat and just pretend that it's not happening.
yeah, yeah,
And we're conditioned, and I feel this happens more through religion. and we've seen it in our families, we've seen it in our community, where you just turn a blind eye to it. It's like, oh, he has that family over there. As long as it doesn't affect you here, you just accept it. We're
Yeah.
not too far removed from that.
No, we're not. We're not. I'm 2 generations removed from it. Yeah. So
Right. So it's just like, or you hear the saying, well, that's just how men are.
yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That's not the case. That's not the case. Because every individual is different, but you just can't you can't just paint with broad strokes, on that, and just say, well, that's just how it
And
is.
sometimes it's not the man, sometimes it's the woman before everybody
Exactly.
comes.
Exactly. Exactly. I know some savage. I know some savage individuals, men and women. So it's that always bothered me. That always bothered me because I have friends that automatically go to that gender broad stroke type of stereotype, and I'm like, individuals, people, because I know guys that would never, and I know some women that would always, so it's like, and it's different shades of gray and color, so it always bothers me. I always, it's one of those things that just kind of just burns my
That
bridges.
has
Yeah,
probably been the biggest thing for me is recognizing the shades of gray.
yeah,
Because for me, I was that black or white individual. It's either right or wrong. And sometimes there are degrees of rightness and the degrees of wrongness. What I always say that there are three sides to every story: his story, her story, and somewhere in between there's a truth of what actually happened.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so I want to get back into this. How you started in the game. So you started just because you wanted to have better, more powerful orgasms.
So my original business that I started was for yoga and massage.
Okay.
That's how I started. And then I took a course, right? And I saw this like energy orgasm. And I was like, she's faking it. I was like, this, that can't be true. And so I took that course. And I was like, oh, this can really be, but I wasn't ready to step into the world. This was for me. And it wasn't like I had people in the area, because I really wasn't venturing out and meeting people and talking about this. So then
Right.
I took another course and I was like, oh, I was like, this is for real. Because now I was experiencing it.
Yeah.
And it's and I was also working I wasn't working full time in wellness. I was working in engineering. So my weekend, when we had class, it was like I was all this blissful. And then I would come back and engineering is very structured, it's very, very linear. And I would come back and everybody's like those who in my circle who they were like, did you get so? And I was like, kind of, yeah, but not in the sense that you think about it. And I remember having a discussion with one of my coworkers, and he's like, you have a lot of information. He's like, you know a lot. We should talk about it more. And I was like, I wasn't ready. I was like,
Yeah.
one, everybody's not ready to listen. Two, I'm not ready to be that person in that space.
Yeah.
Because you have to make space for it and you have to embody it. And then I kind of jumped into it and I was like, I'm going to do this, because I'm all in my head, like, I'm going to make this happen. And when I would introduce it to people, like, they would laugh because they were uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And their discomfort made me uncomfortable. It made me be like, okay, I'll just stick to yoga and massage. I won't talk about this.
Gotcha.
And then
So
I came out and I was like, I kind of got dissatisfied with it for a minute. So I had to just focus on me because, like you, I was starting stuff and I was like, well, why aren't people over here hanging out with me? Like, why aren't people interested in this? I'm like shining the light, like, come here, join me. It's so much fun over here. But people weren't ready. And we go through that cycle. And one of my mentors, and I also consider him a friend, He's like, you're kind of ahead of the game. It's going to take people to catch up to you. He was like, just continue to do what you do and not have that expectation. And so I had to get comfortable with that. And I think now you see that in the content that I'm creating. I just put it out there. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. We keep it pushing. And I'm not holding anyone's hand in the respect that, hey, you have to like me. I treat everyone with a golden rule. Respect me, I respect you. You may not like me, and I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Mm-hmm.
me. I think
Right.
I'm hilarious.
You are hilarious. You are
I think I'm a
hilarious.
fun person to be around. And I also have to have the capacity to do that. When I don't have the capacity, I don't push myself.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So once you made that decision and you started trying to help people, um, I I think it's very interesting about the whole energy exchange on how you helping people um through intimacy. And so I'm going to assume because of your experience and because of everything you know about intimacy being that it is an energy exchange, it just doesn't start with the physical first. So what does it start with first?
So I definitely I do coaching. So there's we sit and we talk. I want to know where the person's at in their life. Where do they see that struggle? Because some people may excel at work. They may excel in all the areas, and the one place where they feel that they're not getting or they're not putting or the full expression of themselves could be in how they're interacting with their spouse or their partner. And it could be same gender or opposite gender, however that person identifies in order to be, inclusive. So it's, well, what are you going through? And there is no specific, like, okay, a checklist, because everybody's situation is going to be different. Maybe
Right.
the person is saying how, yeah, my body is there. I can't vocalize what it is that I like or what I don't like, and walking through them. So it could just be something that, hey, let's open up your throat chakra. Some people know about the chakra, some people don't. So that's where I lean more into like my yoga. And I'm like, okay, well, let's start with a physical practice. Let's start with some yoga poses. And then I go into the energy work. And it's like, okay, and at that point I'm just a conduit. I'm letting my hands guide me wherever it is. And I'm above the body. I'm not touching the body. That's
Right.
another aspect, and that requires another conversation, because some people, in order to feel something, they have to be touched. So, okay, maybe you need tactile touch, like a massage, where I'm moving, where I'm touching the skin and touching the muscles. Maybe you're just so uptight, you spend so much time in your head that you don't even know what it is. Maybe you just need to talk.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that makes a lot of sense because you were taking, and I guess it's good that I read off all the list of things that you do to bring magic to the world, because you're taking every experience, like from the massage to the Reiki, you taking everything and you putting it together. So it's not. I like that it's not a cookie cutter approach to it,
It's
and
not.
yeah, and I think most people either feel like give you some tips, because it's flashy content. Give you some tips as far as like for the physical, or give you some talking points that you can sit there and talk about, and then get physical. But you're looking at the whole overall structure of everything. So
And it's expanded over the years. Like, it was very, who I studied with, it was like, okay, do it this way and this framework. And I appreciate it because it gave me a foundation. Then as I lived and I, experienced people in the world, I'm like, you know what? This doesn't work for me anymore. So it probably doesn't work for the general public either. Let me try something else. And just I read a lot, or let me say, I have a vast variety of books. And somebody will recommend a book, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting, and I'll look into it, and I'll just pick out what I feel applies to me, and it's kind of like an experiment. It's like, okay, well, this applies to me. It's probably going to apply to other people too.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. So constantly expanding. I guess so. During your sessions in coaching, what is probably some of the most general things that you discovered with people who claim that they have a sex problem, but it's really more of an intimacy problem?
Um, there's definitely, and I'm going to say this is for general for both men and women. There's a touch deficiency in how to interpret touch.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do the example of the married couple where the one spouse comes in and is overwhelmed, that person who is reaching out to do the touching, to the person who is like, hey, I got a lot, is overstimulated, how they interpret the touch is going to be different from what the intent of the touch is. So if I'm reaching out to you and I'm seeking that warmth, that warmth of your body, that hug, the person who's being touched may interpret it as, I can't let my guard down while it feels good. I know if I do, the expectation is that it has to become something physical. Or maybe
Gotcha.
you just need to stand there and get a hug. Perfect example. I didn't see, I was on set last week Thursday. I hadn't seen one of my friends in the longest time. And I saw her and I gave her the biggest, longest hug. And like she went to pull away and I was like, I'm not done yet. I haven't seen you in 7 months. We gonna stand. I didn't care that there were other people around. I was like, I haven't, like, you chat on Instagram or whatever, but I haven't physically seen her. I was like, no, I need to hold you for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, let me hold you for a minute. And then when we pulled away from each other, she was like, I needed that. I didn't realize how much I needed that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was just a hug.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the and see that's where my mind goes where I think about the physical intimacy. I know it's not just sex, so for me it's like and it's hard for guys to express it because guys
Because they're not allowed to.
right but we also think that physical intimacy is sex, which sometimes most and a lot of times I have learned since I've been in my 40s, I have learned I'm like, oh, I'm not horny. I just need some intimacy. I just need us to kind of sit here, and I need to be
Cuddle.
cuddle and held a little bit. Maybe a little bit of kissing, and then after that,
Somebody rub your head. Somebody stroke your beard.
oh, you you
Like
look.
maybe that's all you need.
Make me the small spoon and rub my head. I'm gonna start drooling.
Didn't I just say something? I really don't like. I don't like being the big spoon. I like being the little spoon. But if I have to, sometimes every once in a while, I know I gotta be the big spoon. And it's so weird for me, whenever I am the big spoon, how they'll just, the guys will be like, oh, and I'm like, oh, come on, switch this up. You're
Well,
6'4" and I'm 5'5", and you all like,
look, we don't get it. I guess we don't get it
because
often.
I
You know
don't
what I'm
get
saying?
it.
Yeah,
We don't
it's
get it.
it's not allowed. It's not allowed. And I'm never going to ask for it. I'm never going to
And
ask
see
for it.
that has to be a part of. We have to normalize asking for
Mm-hmm.
that, and it not feel weird.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true.
We have to normalize like, hey, I just want a hug. I remember
Yeah.
before, because they had closed the office that I was in, and they were moving everything to Alabama. And so I had met, I mean, this gentleman, we just knew each other in passing. We didn't work in the same department. He worked in a different department. And we went in for the hug, and I was like, don't give me that church hat. I don't, no, I don't do that. I do heart to heart hugs.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too, but I can't
I
I
I mean,
can't I can't always
if I
ask
don't
for it.
know you,
Right.
or I may do I was like, I looked at him. I was like, really? I was like, I need a real hug.
Yeah.
And so we hugged, and I was like, you look uncomfortable. I was like, it's okay.
Look,
It's
a good
okay to have that. And see, the body is automatically going to react. When I
mm-hmm.
went through massage therapy school, and especially because we had to do X number of hours where we worked on clients. So with the male clients, it could be that I'm working on them and they would get erect. And some of the women, I mean, 'cause for the most part, the class that I was in, some of us were a little older. But like for the young girls, they would be like so disgusted. And I was like, that's just an automatic response by the body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong, there are some who would, like we're students, you're in a school, they're not going to be able to pull some shit like that. Like they just can't. That's just an automatic response of the body.
No, it is. It is. But it's also like I guess that's where communication comes a part of it too, because if you're reacting to that reaction, then you're like, oh, okay, well that's just how they feel. I look, just talk whatever you're feeling, talk it out. So because then I could be like, oh no, I just was surprised, or this is just how my no, come let's do it again, and so just to kind of ease that mind. So that communication goes a long way um to just clarify intimacy. And so how important, and I know you're gonna tell me it's important, but I kind of walk me through the steps about communication as far as how being like just this anchor for overall intimacy.
Well, we're always communicating. How we're communicating is where we differ.
Mm,
And I think that's where we're at this really weird stage where we're not talking to each other, we're talking at each other
yeah.
in general, just in terms of social media, in terms of interacting. I think one on one where people are doing well sometimes. Uh, and I say sometimes because some of the stuff you see online, I'm like, oh my god, like how do you function? And I remember and I'm dating myself, when I took speech communication in college, my professor said 98% of communication is non-verbal. Only 2% of it is really verbal. So I could use, either I could use these really, really big words, and I think my besties have all said, you love these college words. And I was like, my mother didn't send me to school to be a dumb, so I'm going to use all these words and I'm going to get them out because if not, they stay in my head. And this is what happens when you're a cerebral person. You think in different terms than other people. So already people are going to look at you one of two ways. They're either going to know what you're meaning or they're going to think that you're talking over them.
Right.
You're communicating. You are communicating, but people are going to be like, well, you think that you're better than me. And it's like, no, that's just how my mind works.
Right. Oh, you are preaching to the choir. You are like there's been so many times, and I guess this is the next kind of start talking about, intellectual intimacy. But there's been so many times where I just want to connect with somebody on a intellectual level, and it don't necessarily be something like we're talking about philosophy or anything like that, but it's but like something where we could have a discussion and go back and forth, and yeah, sometimes I use $5 words or college level words, or I don't just say the simpler version of that because it's not that I'm trying to um you know show out dominance intellectually. It's just you're right. Like you said, that's how my brain works, and I think I thought about that word first before I thought about anything else. Um, how do you get past that particular gap? Like, if you have like people that maybe um check a lot of boxes, with intimacy and most of that will, but maybe not so much so with the intellectual thing. Is that something you can get past?
I think you can't. And so if let's say, okay, so if you're the intellectual, right, and somebody's vocabulary isn't on the same level as you, you have to one of two things. You can either accept them for how they are, not putting any pressure on them, or you can be that encouraging person, to say you can't force them to change. Like you can never force
Right.
anyone to change. So the only thing that you could do is work on you. How much can you tolerate?
Yeah.
How much are you willing, how open are you to this person? If it's too much, if the gap is too wide, you're gonna run into issues.
Hmm.
I just
Yeah.
think, and that would be anything, especially like let's say it's a financial thing. If one person is making really really good money and the other person isn't, and you have the ability to go on vacation and go full out, and this is your partner, and I'm saying you're committed to the relationship, and you know that this person can't, and you want them there and you want them to have the experience, are you paying for it? Or is it a sense of you plan it early enough to say, hey, I really want us to do this together, and start setting your money aside, and this way when we go we can both enjoy ourselves? Or do you have the crash out like these girls do on the girlfriend weekend, where it's like you're not contributing, and we went to the club and we had ball service and you ain't give nothing, and da 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 da, and you know that she ain't never had it.
Right. That
You know
part.
she ain't never had it.
That part.
And now you have her whole face plastered. One thing I will give men, they don't do that. Like they don't talk about each other, but they're not gonna put you out like that. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
just gonna not invite you.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, he ain't got it, and I ain't
He
about to have
ain't
that
got
conversation
it.
with him. So he can see the pictures online when I post them. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Like you bring up a good point, because I had a partner that um financially we were not on the same level. Like, look, she was making a whole lot more money. I wasn't mad about it or whatever. I'm still a gentleman that I want when I have it. I want to sit there and just provide, because I'm just a nice guy. I
Right.
don't know if it's necessarily just going into you know gender roles, or that's how my mama taught me, or just I'm just generally nice. It might be a little bit of all three, but I generally wanted to sit there and just do stuff when I had it. But she was the type that, oh, I just looked at my points. I can fly to Europe next month. Do you want to come? Huh? I mean, you could book a ticket, and then we can fly together and stay out there for a week. Huh? Like what is you talking about? What are you talking about? I mean, look, I had to save up some money. I had to sit there and get some stuff ready just to go to Savannah. You know what I'm saying? I'm in
Right.
Alpharetta. Like
Like,
you talking about Europe next month? What's happening? So
give me time. Like, give me 6 months. Give me a year. Give me time.
it was
Like,
like
that's great for
three
you.
weeks.
Enjoy your trip.
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks. So like when you have gaps like that, whether it's kind of like you said, whether it's intellectually, whether it's financially, whether it's it can even be spiritually. When you have those particular gaps like that, can you communicate enough to bridge those gaps, or if the chasm is just too wide, it's just too wide?
I think it's for me, and I think if the chasm's too wide, it's too wide.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you brought up gender role, like the gender role, the how it's viewed, because in the event that the man is making the most money, it's expected that he's going to pay
Mm-hmm.
for his partner, his spouse, girlfriend, whatever, if she's female. Now, it's not always the case for women, and I'm not saying that women don't do it, because I've definitely heard of women who are living with somebody, and the guy. I remember I was working because I work part time at a store when I'm not on set, and I remember this woman was calling me as her friend. She was talking about her situation, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm doing all that I can to get back on my feet. And my boyfriend lives there, and he doesn't have a job, he doesn't have this." And I was like, "So you're doing everything?" Like,
Mm,
and I wasn't knocking her,
right.
because we would close. It was very late, and I would offer her a ride. I was like, "No, we don't live in an area where you can hop on the bus. I'm gonna take you home." And she was like, she would tell me, like, the conversation came up because she said, "Oh, you have to punch in the phone number, for him to buzz the car through." And I was like, "Why don't you have your clicker?" And she was like, "Oh, well, he has it." And I was like, "You're the one who's working late." I was like, "You're the one who's working late. You're the one getting off at past 12:30. You're the one who is," and if I was like, "Stop me when I cross that line." I was like, "You're the
Mm,
one." I was like, "It's Friday night. We close at 12:30. We don't leave until 12:45, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. You're the one who needs the clicker. What if he's asleep? How do you get in?"
right. That's that's a good question.
"Oh, he cooks, but he cooks something that I don't like. So you now have to come in and make something to eat?"
Right. Right.
And she's like, "You make it." I was like, "I don't make nothing sound like nothing. I talk out loud.
I'm asking
I'm not I'm
questions.
not
Yeah.
causing no problems, because
Yeah.
I need somebody to want to meet me somewhere and be like, 'You messed up.' Like, no, I just would you not be better off by yourself, especially if you're in that space where you're getting yourself together."
That's real. That's real.
So I don't say that it can't be worked out, but if you're determined to make it work, you're going to make it work. If you walk away and you say you feel drained, you don't need to be there. And that's what I see more so with women saying, "I'm exhausted, I'm drained." And it's like, well, then why are you still here?
Right.
Why staying in this entanglement?
Right.
So you see that for a lot of women, especially your older women, they're opting out. And now the men are saying, "Well, what about me?" And it's the question now becomes, yes, what about you? You've been told to be a provider. You've been told to go after the money. You've been told to get all these material things. And the emotional stability, the emotional expression of having the vocabulary, of having the word, of having that level of physicality that isn't, the emotional bandwidth that is more than just, it isn't just anger and sadness, that to fully express that, you need those skills. And you need to, women have been developing them from the time that they're born. I mean, it's like it's in our DNA. From the times that we're babies. We're told, use your words and be expressive and be nurturing. That gets bypassed for men. It's like little boys turn 10. You don't even turn 10, and it's like, what are you crying for? Stop being a baby. Be a man. Grow up.
Yeah.
And so you're
Yeah.
hardened at such an early age that then you're not shown what, if you unless you see a healthy relationship, you're not shown what is really entails, the conversation part. How do you talk about money? How do you talk when you're feeling angry? Like, actually talk. What happens when you're feeling sad? What do you mean that you never seen your dad cry? It's like, "Oh, I saw him only cry once," or he never, said, thank you or congratulations. Like, that is crazy. And we repeated as soon as we repeated these cycles over and over and over. And now we're seeing what the fruit of that is, and we're saying that relationships are at at an all time low. And I remember when one of my teachers, she says, like, if we don't, this was 12 years ago. This was 2014 when he was saying, listen, the relationship between black men and black women will only get worse, and we're at a critical point. And now I see it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this shit is bad.
Yeah.
It's bad out here. When everybody's like, there's shit and piss in the pool, in this dating pool. And I'm like, yeah, but y'all keep shitting and pissing in the fucking pool.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like, it's like this because of y'all attitude. Like, if you treat yourself well, people have no choice other than to treat you well. And when they don't, guess what? You don't have to deal with those
You don't
people.
have to stay there. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to be anchored to that situation. And it's weird. It's easier said than done. But bottom
No,
line is,
actually, it's not. You know why? Because somebody made a post on one of the groups that I'm in, and it's like dating's hard. And I was like, treat everybody by the golden rule. I was like, we learned this. I went to Catholic school, so I went to Catholic school for 9 years, from kindergarten to eighth grade. Treat people how you want to be treated. You don't want to be treated like shit, then don't treat people like shit.
simple.
It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah,
Like,
it's simple. You're right. You're right. It's simple.
we as humans, we complicate it. We really do. We overthink simple things. I was like, now, I'm not saying that there isn't nuance, because there is. Like there is nuance. You may be having a bad day today, and it's as being able to read energy. It's like I'm gonna give you today, but that can't last all week, because it's like, all right, what's the problem? And some
Right.
people are never gonna voice it. They're just gonna walk around and it's like, all
Yeah.
right, well then I'm the kind of person, I ain't gonna fuck with you. I'm gonna let you stand there. I'm gonna let you stew. You're not gonna ask me no. Why the fuck should I ask you? You're the one with the problem. I'm having a great day. I'm gonna have a great day any way you like it. I'm gonna be whimsical. I'm gonna skip around. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna blow bubbles because yes, I'm an adult. I do that. I like to play. For me, it's playfulness. And a lot of people have forgot, yes, you're an adult, but you can also have play. And I think people get so bogged down with the problems of the world, or taking on problems that aren't theirs,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that then now you have all these health issues, and it's like, oh, well, I need to take care of myself. It's like, well, what are you doing? As to why you're not taking care of yourself?
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Um, I want to ask you this. So if I if I look at this wheel, um, and the criteria: emotional, experimental, spiritual, intellectual, and physical. Experimental is like trying different new things
Yeah.
and things of that nature. So if I look at this wheel, and based upon your experience with couples who are struggling, who came to you with the quote unquote sex problems, but struggling with intimacy, what's one of those sleeper ones that it's probably affecting their sex life and their intimacy, but they haven't really thought about it at all whatsoever?
I would definitely say experimentation is one. You know, one person wants to try something and they're not sure how to approach the other partner about it, or they're afraid that if they tell the partner, they're gonna be shamed or guilted, or considered weird for wanting to do that. That's one. I think spiritually, most people go through the motions in terms of going to church. It's like you go to church, you go to Bible study, you do the choir. Like there's a routine for that. The experimental side is more like is it a kink? Is it a fetish? Is it something related to BDSM? You know what I mean? There's a whole umbrella there. And I think people are in general are scared. We're very and I want to say in terms of black people and I'm using that in the broad sense like global blackness, we're very conservative.
Yeah. Yeah.
We see things, we're okay with the physical, a woman's body being, scantily clad. We're okay with that. But then we feel weird if we see a man who's scantily clad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is very
That double
conservative.
standard exists.
Yeah, it really is. And it's very you're right, it's very conservative overall. I think yeah, I think just we start talking about black kink altogether, like people don't really talk about it a whole lot.
I've tried to share as much as possible. I mean, whenever I do go to an event, and I used to love when shout out to Gigi Dow when she had a, Kings of ATL, which was really for me, was the first curated space for Black people. I'm not saying that other spaces didn't exist. I'm saying the space that I first went into. Before somebody comes and is like, well, I've been doing events for 20 years, but I didn't know about you. So, leave me alone. Because there'll be that one person,
Right.
who's out there she had this phase where you were black or you were brown or you were indigenous and you could explore kink, you can explore fetish, you can explore BDSM, and she had providers come in and you could get a sample at the party and then decide, okay, I want to experience this, I want to experience that. And I did reviews for the years that I went, for my times in the dungeon. I did reviews. They're on my Instagram, and you'll see my hair is like, because I'm coming off of that high, and you don't even realize it's a high. It's such a yummy.
Yeah.
And I want more people to, especially in Blackness, like you have Keto, there's hedonism in Jamaica, which is more like a swingers thing. But even swinging, the one group where I was talking about, what I said, treat people how you want to be treated. It's a swingers group. I just
Mhm.
happen to know the administrator of the group. I don't swing. I didn't know that I knew as many people who do swing, and I was like, oh, I had no idea.
Like, oh, okay.
I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, I must give that vibe off. I mean, and you're not gonna know unless you really talk to these people. You know what I mean? And they
Mhm,
have to be
mhm.
comfortable. That's not something that I lead with. I don't lead like, yeah, I'm into BB, because then people think that you're open for anything. And it's like, no, I'm very selective. I'm even more selective there than anything. And what I have learned in those spaces is to be more vocal, to be able to say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, that's not gonna work for me. Don't you ever fucking try that, or I swear to God, I'm gonna kill you. Like that, because you, the person who are going into the scene, you have to discuss what it is that you want, what it is
Yeah.
that you expect, what it is that you don't want. I'm a person who needs aftercare. Don't like check up on me days later. And I've been fortunate that I've had those providers who 3 days later they're like, how are you doing? If there was any bruising, send me a picture. Let me see how you're healing. I want that. I
Mhm.
want that experience. I don't want somebody who's like, well, I don't provide aftercare, then I'm not. You know what I mean? There's
Right,
that
right.
whole vetting process.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
enjoyed it because she put in the time and the effort. And it wouldn't be any, at least from my experience, there wouldn't be somebody who's there who was going to harm people. And we experience things in our relationships where we don't even know that it's harmful. And so then we come out and we don't have the language. How do we communicate that? Hey, you know what? And a previous relationship, or I was on Sunday, and these two young men, black men, shared that they were molested, they were violated, in as youngsters. And this one guy was like, I tried to talk to my granddad about it, and he completely shuts me down.
Yeah.
And I said, you have to understand, during the era that your granddad came from, they didn't talk about this.
At all.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a no
Yeah.
no.
At
They're
all.
not they're not talking about therapy. They're gonna give you that Bible, and they're gonna be like, you a man, you get through it. I was like, you are, because he's not even 25 years old. I was like, you've done amazing. I was like, I want to pour that into you. I'm getting, because I thought it was so unfair how society views it. If it was a girl, it would be like, that's so wrong.
Right.
We don't hold that same space for young men, and then we wonder why they're struggling. We wonder why older men are struggling. I've had conversations online where I've said, what you've experienced is abuse. And I was like, no, she taught me to be a better lover. I'm like, you're 10. She was 30. That is not,
Right.
we cannot consider that a rite of passage for young boys. And
Right.
that's some shit that has to stop. And it's mental health month. Like, come the fuck on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That that is so twisted to me.
Yeah. It's changing. It's changing what people have been brought up with. It's changing that toxic masculinity. It's changing what's acceptable when it's that's something that's unacceptable. Truly.
But it's unacceptable, and until we have to be consistent with the messaging. It has to be,
Mm-hmm.
it's unacceptable for any child to go through it. Not that, oh, well, it's unacceptable for a girl. No, it's unacceptable for children.
Excuse me. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, I know I went off topic there. Thank
No,
you
no,
for
no. No,
allowing
it's
me to
good.
say that.
It's something that needs to be talked about and everything. See, this is why I like talking to you. Wide variety of knowledge. You know a little bit about everything.
A little bit about
Look,
everything.
I love it. I love it. Look, so I ain't gonna hold you up too long because that way I would keep you on here. It'd be like a 3.5 hour episode. But I do have one last question left. It's about damn time. So I always ask what is about time, damn time for people to start doing. So, Inez, what is it about time? What is it about damn time for people to start doing this week to feel more connected to themselves and the people that they love?
First thing, and this is something that everybody can do, ground yourself. So go outside, take off your shoes, and just stand on the grass. Stand on Mother Earth, and just take a few moments and just breathe. Like, be in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to ground, you have to touch soil. You can't do it on concrete. You got to touch grass. It has to
Yeah.
be grass
Put your feet
or
in some
soil.
grass. Yeah, yeah.
Like, so that, everybody likes to laugh at us as a, hippies, and it's like when we say touch some grass, like literally go touch grass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take a yoga mat, or a blanket, throw it on the ground, and just stare up at the skies. Look at the clouds.
Yeah.
Take a nap. I love the nap ministry. Take a nap.
Yeah.
Dream. Take. Okay, you want to call it a power nap? Fine. Take a nap.
A
You
nap will
can
change
journal.
lives. Yeah, a
You,
nap will change lives. Yeah. And
napping is like the. I've gotten more ideas from napping. I have a notebook everywhere. I keep a notepad on every place where I'm in a nap. I keep a notepad because I'll wake up and I'll have an idea and I'll just jot it down. It doesn't mean I have to act on it right then and there. At least I know. I recorded it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, just Touch some grass.
Just touch some grass. Let's
There's a cloud.
Color. Take time to slow down. Yeah, it's in general.
Color. There are plenty of adult coloring books. I like the kids ones because they're more fun. They come with stickers.
They are more
adult
fun.
Ones.
Yeah, they are more fun. Yeah.
You know, color. Do something that is enjoyable that pours into you before pouring into somebody else.
That's real.
And remember that the only person that you can change is you. So if you don't like what's going on around you, take that moment of reflection to look at yourself and dream big. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to do? And that may cause you on my spiritual journey now. I'm gonna tell you, there are a lot of people who fall off. Don't be upset. It's a part of that journey. Like, people are going to disappear. And you're going to be like, why is my life upside down? Because that's exactly what happens. No one tells you. I'm going to tell you. I ain't going to lie to you. Your life will look totally fucked up and you'll be like, it's a part of the journey. It sucks. It's a sucky part. When you're on the other side, you be like, damn, I went through a lot of shit to get here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the peace that you reach when you get here, and you can look back and you can be like, oh, that was just the shedding process. You got to shed that like a snake. You got to shed that old skin in order to make space for what it is that you really want.
Mm-hmm. You do. You can't grow without letting go. That's just the bottom line. I just tell everybody where they can find you at, because when they want to hear more of these, all the knowledge that you giving out and sharing with people, and they might need some coaching or whatever. Tell them where they can find you at.
The easiest place is Black Latina Yogi on Instagram. I also have it connected onto Facebook. So, Meta tends to be kind of funny. Some stuff that you put on Instagram doesn't appear on Facebook and vice versa. Definitely over there. It's the same across the board. So I'm also on Blue Sky. I haven't been on Blue Sky as much, but there's there. If they want to reach me by phone, they can. My number is 678-266-7470. They can leave me a message. I have a link to my services is under my bio on Instagram, and Instagram is probably the quickest and easiest way to reach me. Email, phone number, everything is listed there. So if they have any questions, if they have any comments, if they enjoy my commentary that I randomly make on, because I do be making some random stuff, and I'm like, where does that come from? If they like that kind of stuff, then cool. Follow along and enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey, exactly.
I know there's something crazy out there, and somebody will say like, "Where did I don't know." Just wanted to.
Well, I'll make sure to put all that in the show notes as well. So if they want to click on it, they can. Thank you so much for being a part of It's About Damn Time. Thank you for joining me this week on It's About Damn Time. Hey, if you like what you heard, follow this podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and IG, and join the conversation on this week's episode. Link to all my socials in the show notes. You can also show love by simply giving me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And of course, for more blogs, pods, and other digital content, go to thewholedamnshow.com. Until next time, I'll see you next week.